Fellow Ghanaians, a very good evening to all of you, and thank you so much for joining us here on Upfront on the Joy News channel. It's a Wednesday, the 3rd day of August, 2022. Of course, tomorrow is Founders Day, and I know that brings lots of excitement and joy to many of you. But tonight, our focus is on a very important issue. But before we get to that issue, let me start by telling you what's been happening in the day. So the NDC has been organizing a press conference. They've been talking about the hardships in the country. They've talked about a high rising inflation and how they believe that economic management team has given up. They've talked about how the president should fire the finance minister because things are just not the way that they expect it to be, or in short, Ghanaians are suffering, and thus the finance minister must take the blame. I don't know what your thoughts are on this particular issue, but of course you can always tell us what those thoughts are. The Electoral Commission has been talking about how, political parties that fail to meet the requirements would be deleted from the books of Ghana's political party register. I'm sure this is not the first time you've heard that, right? Okay, so let's not talk so much about it. We'll wait. Once that deletion happens, we'll be there to report. But this evening, I focus on one thing that started on Monday. Now, the Tanker Drivers Union, together with the LPG Marketers Association and the LPG Operators Association, decided that having had enough, they will embark on an indefinite strike. The reasons, well, the Tanker Drivers Union say poor conditions of service. They say for some time now their services have been poor. They complain that the owners do not pay them well. But they are not faulting their owners for not paying them well. In fact, they fault government for not enabling their owners to pay them well. And I'm sure you're asking the question, how can you fault government when your owners do not pay you well? Well, they say somewhere in 2017, October, after the Atomic Junction gas explosion, a decision was taken. I'm sure you remember that 9-point agenda, that 9-point solution to deal with gas explosions in the country. But of particular interest to them was the immediate cessation of ongoing gas constructions or of the construction of gas stations. So no matter the situation you find yourself in, whether you are 70% complete, 80% complete, or 99% complete, it said, stop. It's been almost 5 years. And according to the LPG Marketers Association, that has cost them some $10 million. And so according to these drivers, well, since we cannot get these stations functional, the owners say they do not have money and so cannot pay us well. So if they cannot pay us well because government has not lifted the ban, they say they are not going to work again. Well, they cite a third example, and they say they've been disturbed by officials of BOST and the National Petroleum Authority. But for them, the most important one has to do with a ban on the construction of gas filling stations. This evening, we want to find out what has been the impact? And we're told on Sunday night the National Petroleum Authority tried to meet the LPG Marketers Association and operators and the Tanker Drivers Union. That did not happen. On Monday, there were attempts to meet again. Have they met? And what has been the outcome of that all-important meeting? But also, we want to establish how has it impacted you, the Ghanaian? This evening, on Upfront, we'll be going to Accra, we'll be going to Kumasi, we'll be finding out how it's impacted all of you. My name is Winston Amoah, and thank you very much for joining us. First, let's find out from those who actually went buying LPG and didn't get it, their complaints. Before we do that, stay with us. We'll be right back after this break. Right, so welcome back and thank you very much for staying with us. You're on Upfront on the Joy News channel. So before we get to our guest for this evening, I'll be introducing them shortly. First, let's find out how the closure or the decision to embark on a strike has been affecting first citizens in Accra.
We've seen a lot of cars and a lot of people coming here to refill their cylinders, but unfortunately what we are being told is there's no gas. There's a metallic board that is being written on, sorry, no gas. And we understand that is linked to the sit-down strike with respect to the Gas Tanker Association of Ghana. And I have a lady here who also came some few minutes to refill her cylinder, but unfortunately after seeing this, she decided to go back. So let me engage her and know what were some of the things she was being told. Hi. You're here to fill your cylinder. Tell me, what were some of the messages you were being given?
Okay, I came here this afternoon, but unfortunately for me, when I came, I was told there is no gas. So already I've been to Alajo, but the same situation. I came here, same situation. So that's why I came.
Right, but you were not given any message with respect to whether they are on strike or not?
Oh, okay. As at now, when I came, I realized they were on strike. So the gas tankers are on strike. That is the main reason why my gas hasn't been filled as at now.
Right, so this is what is coming from this young lady. She's been here for almost an hour now trying to fill her cylinder, but unfortunately, after seeing this, she has no option than to go back. We're trying as much as possible to speak to the authorities, but it appears they are really not also ready. But earlier, I attempted to speak to some of the tanker drivers. Proved futile. All attempts proved futile. Let's speak to the manager of this particular gas refilling station to know what the situation is and why we have that metallic board being written, sorry, there is no boss. Let's engage him briefly here to know what the situation is like. All right, so we have here Mr. Bernard. He is the manager of this particular refilling gas plant, and we want to know why we have that inscription as sorry, no gas. Mr. Bernard, talk to me. What's really the situation now?
The situation is up to the MPA. They complain that the MPA are worrying too much. Sometimes when they lift the load to the destination, in case they're broken vehicle somewhere and they didn't get to their destination, MP will not pay their transport. And mostly when it happens like this too, it affects them. And they say if because of that, they will go to strike. So the government will come in and do something about it.
But how is this affecting you?
It's affecting us a lot because you can even imagine, we're not even selling. When we start this morning, we start the morning, start selling and they have to stop because they're on strike. And also take advice from the negatives. Yeah.
Right, we've seen you turn away a lot of cars and also individuals who are in to refill their cylinders. But are you not communicating any messages? Are you just going with what we've seen here?
No. I told them they were on strike. The tanker drivers are on strike. So there's nothing we can do unless the government can. So we are waiting for the government. What can?
All right. So basically, they are waiting for the government. They're calling on the government to try as much as possible to pay heed to some of the concerns from these gas tanker drivers.
So let's get to Kumasi now, where people have resorted to purchasing food because they can't cook.
Stranded in a quest to refill her 6-kilogram gas container, Ya Japan has been searching all morning for a gas outlet to access LPG for domestic use. From Ashtown to Angloga, all the pump stations she has visited remain closed. With LPG being her only fuel source, she says she will resort to buying food from the streets until she gets gas to refill her container.
The gates have been closed. There's no one there. I always use gas. I don't have coal. I don't even know what to do. I will be buying food outside.
Her situation is no different from many other LPG users, including commercial drivers who trooped to various gas stations. Simon Mensah, a commercial driver, says the shortage will affect his trips, ultimately biting hard on his daily sales. I have no option. Gas is what my vehicle functions with. After this trip, I won't be going again. The gas is about finishing. I won't be working until I get gas. I have a family to cater for, so this is really affecting us. The Ghana National Petroleum Tanker Drivers Union began a sit-down strike on Monday. Their reason stemming from the government's refusal to reopen some gas stations that were closed following a gas explosion in Accra in 2017. In the Ashanti region, at least 25 gas stations are under the ban. Organizing Secretary of the LPG Dealers Association of Ghana is beseeching LPG users to empathize with them.
We are even feeling more pain than because we can't. We have been seeing them going out stranded everywhere from one station to another, trying to get access to LPG. But to us, what we are doing is not today, but tomorrow. It will go into their own interest. So they should be with us and cooperate with us. But we know it is hard times for someone going from one station to another, spending a whole lot of transport fare, roaming about to get gas. But they should try and be with that.
Until the situation is resolved, the over 25% of Ghanaians who use liquefied petroleum gas will continue to resort to alternative fuel sources. For Joy News, Emmanuel Bright-Kweku reporting.
So that's the situation in Kumasi. Let's get into the studios now and start a conversation because we've been joined this evening by the LPG Marketers Association's Vice Chairman, Gabriel Kumi, and also been joined by the PRO of the Ministry of Energy, that's Kwesi Obeng Fosu. Gentlemen, good evening. Thank you all for joining us.
Winston, and thank you for having me.
Great. Let me start off with you.
Good evening, Winston.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Let me start off with you, Gabi. So it's been 3 days. Today is the third day. I know there's been attempts by the National Petroleum Authority to meet you. Have you met them, and what's been a decision so far?
Well, thank you very much, and good evening to your viewers. Unfortunately, we've not been able to meet NPA, but our understanding is that Cabinet was meeting today, and a communication will come out of the Cabinet meeting by close of today. What really happened was that on Sunday night, we received a letter from the NPA in the night around 10 p.m. Asking us to come to the ministry at 10 a.m. Unfortunately, we couldn't marshal our members to come to that meeting because the timing was just too short for us. I, for instance, was in Kumasi. I flew into Accra at around 11 a.m. on Monday. So the timing was practically impossible for us to meet up. But the NPA is also organizing another meeting on Friday. So based on the communication that comes out of the Cabinet meeting today, we are likely to attend that meeting.
So your decision to attend the meeting on Friday depends on whether you get a favorable response from the Cabinet meeting today.
I think our requests have been put out there quite clearly. What are we going to meet on? We are going to meet on the ban on construction of LPG, ongoing construction of LPG sites. If that is not resolved, what are we meeting on? We've been meeting since 2017, and nothing has come out of this meeting. So we are hopeful. I mean, the energy minister himself was on your sister station, assuring Ghanaians that there's something very positive is going to come out of today's Cabinet meeting. So we are very hopeful that by close of today, we are going to hear something positive from Cabinet, and then we can then begin the meetings and get into the details of what we need to do.
Let me get to Kwesi and find out from him, whether the Energy Ministry has, as part of its, plans to Cabinet, a decision to lift the ban on, the suspension of, the ban on the construction of new LPG stations. Kwesi, is that the case?
Yes, Winston, good evening, and let me say hi to the man you just spoke to. Yes, so as you stated, or as I heard him say, the minister said on your sister station on Asepa, yesterday, and then even this morning on another sister station, Peace FM, that as part of the ministry's arrangement, we have already added to the issues for discussion at the cabinet this evening the memo on the ban, the lifting of the ban on the ongoing projects for the LPG vendors and then association. So yes, it is true. It is part of the issues on the table at cabinet discussions now, and this has been done even before they came out on Sunday. You know, their release came out on Sunday, and then on Monday, as at 10 o'clock, minister was seated in the office waiting to engage them. But just as he said, they were not able to honor the invitation, so the minister sat throughout, and even yesterday, he was at the office, even today, he has spoken about it. We are open, very, very open and waiting that we can engage them on these issues. But as he said, minister said on a sister station, the issue on the lifting of the ban, it is already on the table at cabinet for discussion. So when cabinet is over and then there's a response that needs to get to them and Ghanaians, we will communicate that accordingly.
But Kwesi, I mean, it's been 5 years. It's been 5, and you talk about, you know, this being on the plans and all of that. But I do know that the statement came out on Friday. Well, you can argue that it was actually on, but it's been 5 years. Why has it taken you so long to take a decision on this?
Yes, it's been 5 years. You know, from 2017 to now, if you had the MPSA, they had a lot of things to do before they could finish with the memo. You know, it is about safety, not just for the safety of the citizens. It also has to do with the safety of their private investments as well. So you need to protect lives and properties as well as the investments of these businessmen. So you need to do due diligence, because what happened at Atomic Junction way back 2017, we do not want to see that again in any part of this country. So there was the need to do due diligence and ensure that the right thing is done. So it's been 5 years, but now we are here. The memo has been sent to cabinet, and we hope to get something favorable from cabinet setting so that we can communicate that to them, and then we see the way forward. So we are just pleading with them. But if you look at their issues, the ones that have to do with conditions of service, that, you know, that is an employer and an employee situation, and if the transporters, the business owners and their transporters have issues with the conditions of service, we plead with them that they should attend to the needs of their transporters, so that at least they can have better services and then serve them and then serve the nation properly. The one that has to do with government, that is the ban, is what government is taking care of.
Yes, but they make the point. Kwesi, they make the point what that, you know, with the transporters, the challenge for the drivers is that they're not being paid well, because if you complain, the owners of these stations and transporters will tell you that because they had invested in, you know, new stations, and there's a ban on those new stations, they have lost money, and so they've been made to pay loans. And if I'm paying loans, I mean, if I have liability, how am I going to be making profit to be paying you more? And so what I have to do is to cut my costs so I could actually pay my debts. And so that's the situation. Until they're able to open these stations and make some money, they cannot increase, or improve their conditions of service. You'd agree that's the reality, isn't it?
So obviously, from what you just said and from what we read from, or what we've heard from them, then it means they are doing this in solidarity. The conditions of service and other issues that the transporters have raised has nothing to do with government. What has to do with government is the ban on ongoing projects. Obviously, yes, from what you said, if their investments, they are not recouping returns on their investments, they will have issues with payment of salaries. That we agree. So the strike action by transporters and then by owners of the various stations, they are doing this in solidarity with those who have ongoing projects. So just as government has said, if it is not a direct thing, that the government is not the one paying the transporters directly. So if their conditions of services are not well, and then other issues that they have raised that has to do with their employers, and then the ban on the ongoing projects is the one that government has to take care of. And government has given the assurance that yes, now cabinet is in session. It is on the table for discussion. right after cabinet sitting, we'll come out and government's position on the ban will be made known to everybody. So I believe at this point, we can we can call off the strike and then save Ghanaians so that Ghanaians will also benefit from their services, since the other issues has to do with their employers and not government directly. Government has shown good faith. Government has shown commitment by taking the issues to cabinet. Even before their release came, we had prepared a memo for cabinet. And as I speak to you, it is part of the issues on the table. So we will call on them that if this is one out of their issues, if this one has to do with government, the government is attending to it, then we plead with them to call off the strike now that their issues have been attended to.
Let me get to Gabby. I'll get back to you, Kwesi. And Gabby, he's saying, well, now that you know that the issue is at cabinet, maybe this would be the best time to indicate that from tomorrow you would sell while you wait for a decision from cabinet. Something you're going to do?
Winston, I think I've always indicated that both the Ministry of Energy and the MPA have done a lot of work on this issue to cabinet. But unfortunately, cabinet has not seen the magnitude of the problem and thus have not been able to lift the ban. I think now that we've closed our stations and Ghanaians are talking, I think cabinet is in a better position to hear our plea and then do the needful. So, I mean, we've been on for 3 days. Cabinet is still sitting. I'm sure later in an hour or two, cabinet meeting will be over. Looking at the urgency of the situation, we've been assured that whatever positive outcome that comes out of that meeting, it will be communicated to us, even if it's at midnight. Winston, I can assure you that as soon as we get that commitment, as soon as we get that official commitment and official lifting of the ban on the construction of LPG stations in Ghana, within 1 hour, our stations will be open to public. It's not easy, Winston. We have a lot of responsibilities. The month has just ended. Some of us have not even paid salaries. Internal revenue, Ghana Revenue Authority is on us. This morning I was checking with my finance manager whether we even have enough to pay our taxes, because every 2 weeks we have to pay taxes to Ghana Revenue Authority. So it's not a very comfortable situation that we find ourselves in at all. But as you just narrated, this has been 5 solid years. We have written letters, we have had meetings, and nothing seems to be coming out of all those. So we have had enough of verbal assurances. We have want to see proper commitment to ensuring that these stranded stations, this investment by local indigenous Ghanaians, the 10 million investment that we have put on the ground, come out. And Ghana stands to benefit a lot if these stations are to come out. Look, if every station is even to sell 10 tons of LPG a month, by this time we would have been quite close to the government objective of achieving 50% penetration by the year 2030. These stations would have sold and we would have been paying taxes. Every LPG station you see there employ an average of 10 people. 120 LPG stations would have given direct employment to 1,200 people. So Ghana as a country stands to gain by ensuring that these outlets comes out and start operation. So we are appealing to government. We will appeal to my brother to just hold on. I mean, we are just a few hours from end of cabinet meeting. Let the communication come out, and I can assure you that within a matter of hours, we will start working.
Now, so in effect, if the communication doesn't come out, you're not going back to work?
We are not opening our station if a communication does not come out and if our legitimate demand. Winston, since we started this on Monday, I have never seen any Ghanaian, I haven't seen a Ghanaian who has come to us or who has called us and told us that, look, guys, what you're doing is wrong. I've not seen one. We are making a very, 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 very legitimate and simple demand. All that we are saying is that you gave us permit. Based on those permits, we went to the banks to borrow money, hard money. We have invested these monies in over 120 LPG stations across the country. Now, what is happening currently is that our banks are attacking our collaterals. We are being thrown out of our homes. One house in Kumasi, one guy in Kumasi, and one in Kumasi, they've been thrown out of their houses. Their houses are on auction as I speak to you now. I can share the details with you. So the banks are fed up with us. They have rescheduled the loan, restructured the loan, done all that they could to support us to be able to pay the loans. But where do we find the money? It's not as if we went in for these loans and excuse me, and wasted them on unnecessary stuff. We have physical structures to show for it. So we are pleading with government. We want a favorable response, and we can assure you, as soon as a favorable response, and this request is a legitimate one.
Yeah, but you've had people. I mean, yes, Gabriel. While you may have a legitimate case, you've had some of your consumers having to resort to the buying of food. They're complaining. They say we're buying food because you are on strike. You've been on strike for 3 days. Government, cabinet, and you say it's gone to cabinet. Why don't you then announce that tomorrow we will start selling gas? Or you don't trust cabinet to take a decision in your favor unless you continue with a strike?
Winston, if you are in your house, I know you have kids. If today your kid wants something, you refuse. Oh, I'll give it to you in the evening. The evening comes, nothing comes. Oh, I'll give it to you tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, nothing is given to the person, to the kid. Oh, this weekend I'll give it to you. Weekend come, nothing. Your own child will lose confidence in you. He will lose confidence in whatever you tell him going forward. We still believe in cabinet. We are waiting for cabinet to make a pronouncement on this.
In effect, you've lost confidence.
Indeed, it's been 5 years of promises and assurances. I can show you the number of letters we've written on this issue to MPEA and to the Ministry of Energy, and even to cabinet itself. A lot of letters, a lot of meetings have been held.
Okay.
This is very legitimate. And we've had a lot of lawyers. Why don't you go to the court? Okay. Why look at how our court systems work. If you take this issue to court, it will take years. And every single day, our interest is building up. Okay. Now, people who went in for 500 cedis are now having to pay about 1.5 million cedis.
Let me get to Kwesi. I'll get back to you because we'll talk about the consumption also, because we know that from January 2021 to June 2021, the level of consumption was 168 million kilograms. Then in 2022, from January to June, it's reduced to 150 million kilograms, and a reduction of some almost 18 million, and that means some 10% reduction. We're supposed to be increasing in consumption, but we are reducing. We'll be finding out what's the cause of that. But Kwesi, you talked about they having to, you pleading with them, suggesting to them that they should, call off the strike and go back because it's been tabled before cabinet. Well, they say if you keep promising your child that I will do this and you never do it, your child will no longer have confidence in you until you provide. So until they see the communique, they're not calling off the strike. What do you say?
Yeah, Winston, I just as I started, and then I said earlier, if my brother says he's not any Ghanaian that is complaining that, he's not any Ghanaian who is not in support of this action, I also plead with him that a lot of people are not in support because people are suffering with this strike action that they have undertaken. As I speak to you, even from your own footages, we saw people who are resorting to buying of food and cannot prepare food. People are going through hardships because of these actions. And I'm saying that if we go by this action, if we extend it a few days more, a lot of casualties may occur, which I don't think they will be happy about themselves. Because, we work hand in hand with them. It's been 5 years, I agree. But then, let me quickly add that this has nothing to do with shortage of gas. We have gas, What it is that the transporters of these services are the ones that are on strike, and that is why we are facing these problems. That is maybe, we will plead with them as I said earlier. But then if today we have the transporters putting out their issues 5 years ago before other ministers, and this minister has come and he is saying, I'm calling you to the table. I have not met you as an association. I have not met you as a group. So come, let's sit down. Bring your issues. I'm a new person here. I want to hear you so that we can make the necessary arrangements and then move forward. I believe it is proper for them to avail themselves, for us to sit to them, listen to them, and then make headway. Just as I said, even before their release came on Sunday, it came on Sunday. The next day, Monday morning, at 10 o'clock, this minister was ready to engage them. And if you follow this minister over the period, it's a minister that has dealt with a lot of unions and associations. Back at education, you didn't hear the unions praising him. So it's been 5 years, but we have a new minister, and he's calling on you, come. I'm ready to sit. I'm ready to Jojo. Come and let's sit down. We can even go beyond what you have raised, and I can offer you more. So I believe if they call off the strike today, and then await the outcome of cabinet, just as the minister assured them that he has sped up the thing, is on cabinet, is on the tables during this cabinet sitting. It means some commitment, some good faith has been shown from this minister.
But Kwesi, I mean, Kwesi, while you can argue that good faith is being shown, you would also agree that not everything sent to cabinet will be discussed on that day. And so they say, show us the commitment. This is not the first time you've talked about it. Show the commitment, and then we would call it off.
I agree. I agree when they say they want to wait for the outcome of the deliberations in Parliament. At Cabinet now. But then what I'm saying is, it has not been to Cabinet. It has not got into Cabinet. But today, as I speak to you, we are telling you it is on the tables. It is being discussed. It's been tabled at Cabinet, and sitting is ongoing as I speak to you. So that good faith, that commitment. You came out on Sunday. Monday we sat waiting for you. You couldn't make it due to unforeseen circumstances.
They say, show us the commitment with a decision. Show us the commitment with a decision.
Yeah. Winston, I agree. Until cabinet is over, I cannot show commitment sitting here. Commitment must come from the deliberations at cabinet. So let's wait for cabinet to end today, and then whatever will come out from cabinet, we will communicate it to them. But I believe, just as Minister said yesterday and today, it is an issue that is so dear to him. As urgent as it is, we will act on it. So let them also take us by our words. This is a new minister, and then he's showing that good faith, he's showing that commitment already. So based on that, we shouldn't punish Ghanaians for these few hours that are left for cabinet to come out. If that good faith has been shown, if that commitment has been shown, I'll plead with my brothers. They are businessmen. We work with them. We've been working with them over the period. This is not the last time we're going to work with them. They will come to us. We will also deal with them, and through MPA and even their mother body, the ministry. So now that has been shown, we will plead with them that from now, tomorrow is a holiday. People will need this essential commodity in their homes. If they can bear with us and then call off the strike now, I think it will help a lot, so that Ghanaians will also have access to this commodity, because it is not in shortage. It is just that the service providers have decided to show solidarity by putting down their tools and then calling off their services because their employers have stranded assets, or their employers have business ongoing that they need to recoup their investment. That is very, very legitimate. But we are pleading with them. Be as it may, it is not a direct thing with government per se. The transporters, their issues, just as I said earlier, conditions of service and other issues, it is between them and their employers. How government comes in now is the ban on ongoing projects. And the numbers are even less than 100. Yes, we are talking about 63 of them now that we have taken notice of. So if those ones are the ones that they are striking or strike on because those ones have been kept on hold, we are pleading with them. Those ones, we will take care of them. NPA, after cabinet, NPA will act on those 63. And I believe whatever will come from cabinet will be in their favor. So don't let us close down over hundreds or 200s or 500s. I don't know their numbers, but I believe they are more than the 63. because these ongoing projects have been stalled. So we will plead with them. We will plead with them. It is in solidarity. It is not a direct responsibility of the government to take care of their transporters and other workers. But because the workers depend on these bosses or their employers, we agree that if they do this in solidarity, it's in order. But we cannot continue to punish Ghanaians for this long because of this action. Because what happened in 2017, disaster that we saw in 2017, we don't want it being visited on us again. That is why these things or these actions have been undertaken. So I'll plead with my brother. I'll plead with him. I'm just pleading.
Okay.
We understand the issues.
While you plead,
Good faith.
While you plead, let me get into another issue because, you've made the point that the citizens are suffering, and so they should consider the citizens. Now, Gabi, you have always complained about reduction in consumption, and you've asked the question, what are people resorting to? Some have resorted to charcoal. And we say we want to use LPG as a means of conserving or protecting our environment, our forest cover. Between January in 2021 to June in 2022, we saw a total consumption of 168 million kilograms of LPG. From January to June 2022, we have seen 150 kilograms of LPG. 10% reduction, 18 million kg reduction. That is certainly not what you wish. You've always talked about meeting the target. Wouldn't this time drive people into the very things you say you do not want?
Winston, before I answer your question, let me just address my brother quickly to say that even if we are to call up our strike today, LPG stations are not supposed to work beyond 6 p.m. Because of safety concerns. So effectively, the day is over for opening of our stations. Even if we can open stations, it has to be tomorrow. We are very confident that whatever decision Cabinet come up with, that decision will be communicated to us tonight. And I can assure you and assure Ghanaians that if that decision is communicated tonight, we will stay up, we are not going to sleep, and make sure that we communicate to all our members, issue a press statement to the media, calling on all our members to start work at 6 a.m. tomorrow. So that is something that we can easily do. Let's just wait. He himself has just said that Cabinet is sitting on this. I'm sure Cabinet meeting is about over by now, or within the next hour or two, it will be over. Looking at the urgency of this issue, I'm sure Cabinet will, by this time, they are even putting together the communication. As soon as that communication comes out, we can assure you that we are going to work overnight to ensure that our stations are open and to serve Ghanaians tomorrow. Now, let me come to your issue. Yes, we have consistently been calling on government to ensure that consumption of LPG goes up. I mean, that has been our call. If we are to look at who is really pushing consumers onto charcoal and onto wood fuel, Winston, all these stations, all these branded stations that we are talking about over 100 stations. If these stations were allowed to operate, we would have been reaching consumption level of about 30% penetration by now. Our action is just a temporary action, and it's as a result of government's inaction. It's a result of government's inability to act on a very, very, very legitimate demand that we are asking. So we believe that this action is a very temporary one and is going to get over as soon as government comes up with the communication. The bigger issue we have to be looking at is how do we improve the consumption reduction that we are talking about didn't occur within the last 3 days that we've been on strike. It's been from January this year. to June. Even we are in June.
Yeah, but if I go and buy charcoal, Gabi, if I buy charcoal because you're on strike, I might as well finish using it before I resort to using LPG. You would agree with me?
I will not run away from the fact that our action will contribute to people using charcoal. I'm not running away from that fact. But I'm saying that that's not a bigger issue. Because your analysis is even is considering January to June. And we are in August. So I'm just saying that even though I agree with you that our action will contribute to the use of charcoal, the bigger picture is that there are more that we need to do to ensure that we get LPG up there. If you look at the consumption pattern of LPG, we have been very stagnant over the past few years. And this year we have started declining. Two main factors account for this. One is the consistent and the continuous rise in the price of LPG that we've always talked about, which has the taxes on the product has been one of the contributory factors to this persistent increase in the price of the fuel of LPG. And that is why we have called on government over the years consistently to consider removing taxes from LPG so we can bring the price of the product down, so the ordinary Ghanaian can afford, so we can now increase the consumption that we're talking about. And the second major factor contributing to this downturn in terms of consumption is what we are confronted with. There is no growth in the sector. We are not opening up the sector. The few investments that we made in the sector are stranded. There is no new LPG stations coming up. New areas are developing, but they cannot access LPG because we are not allowing operators to expand their operations and then get more people to use the product. So not until we lift this ban and get more outlets into the system and then take measures to reduce the price of the product so we can get more consumers to use the product. Winston, LPG is a product with an elastic demand. What that simply means is that the higher you go in price, the lower your consumption becomes. And if you look at the statistics, anytime there is an increment in price of LPG, it goes to affect consumption negatively. If you look at the month of March, where price was at its highest, in the month of March, we were selling a kilo of LPG for about 12 cedis. On that month, consumption dropped to its lowest. That is when we did 23,000 metric tons, as against 29,000 metric tons the same month last year. So the price of the product is very, 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 very key if you want to improve consumption. If we don't take measures to bring down the price of the product by removing all these taxes from the product, our West African neighbors are subsidizing LPG. If you go to Cote d'Ivoire, they are subsidizing to the tune of about 20-25%. Why can't we do the same? We are not even calling for subsidies. What we have called for is the removal of the taxes from the product. So we go for full cost recovery, so we can get more people into the consumption. Of course, we are not saying as soon as we remove the taxes, you get all Ghanaians to consume LPG. Even if you give LPG out there free, you will still get some people who have other reasons for not using the product. But we believe that every single peso, every single city that you lower the price of LPG goes a long way to affect its consumption positively.
Let me get this clear. You're saying that all taxes should be removed from LPG. Is that what you're saying? That there should be no taxes on it?
There should be no tax on LPG. Winston, when we started the introduction of LPG in Ghana, we were subsidizing the product. In the 90s and even in the 2000s, we were paying subsidies. We got to a point where consumption started to grow, and the taxes, the subsidy amount became so huge that it got to a point government would no longer find money to subsidize. So government took up the subsidy, and we were going full cost recovery. We did that till somewhere 2014, 2015, when crude oil dropped so low to about less than $30 per barrel. And government at the time took advantage of the low crude oil price and the low LPG price on the international market and hit a lot of taxes on the product. Over the period since 2015, what has happened is that the taxes have been very constant on the product, but crude oil price keeps moving up. And once you have a constant on it, a constant tax on it, and the base, which is the crude oil price, keep moving up, you expect that the pump price to go up. What government should have done was that as crude oil price keep moving up, the taxes should have also be coming down, so that by now we would have removed all the taxes. So look, LPG is the only product that cabinet has set a target for its growth. Of all the petroleum products that we have in this country, His Excellency the President and his cabinet selected LPG in 2018 and said that, look, guys, we should be able to double consumption of LPG within the next 10 years. They set a target to increase consumption of LPG from the then current 25% penetration level to 50% by the year 2030. Okay, so it tells you the special importance of LPG for our country. Now all the trees our trees are being cut for firewood and for wood charcoal. All our rivers are getting dried up. Look, government is spending millions of Ghana cedis planting trees. Very good initiative. We support government 100% on that move. But what we are saying is that if we don't complement that by ensuring that the consumption of LPG goes up in Ghana, I can assure you all those trees will be cut for firewood and for wood for. They will never live to serve their purpose. Human being, when it comes to issue of survival, look, human being will do anything to survive. He cannot buy LPG, he cannot afford LPG. There's a tree behind his backyard that government has planted, and the guy is hungry. He'll go and cut the tree and use it as fuel to a source of energy to cook his food. So yes, government initiative, excellent one. Tree planting, we support it. My brother Jinapo is doing a wonderful job, but we need to give it a compliment by taking measures and ensuring that the price of LPG especially comes down so that we can push up consumption.
Let me take the final words from Kwesi. Kwesi, so finally, yes, Cabinet is meeting. Hopefully, by close of today, we'll have a communication from them. And then the LPG marketers and operators say, we'll call off our strike and start serving Ghanaians with LPG. What's your final comment? Hello, Kwesi?
Can you hear me?
Kwesi, yes, I think I can hear you now, yes. Go ahead.
Yes. So my final words will be that, just as I said earlier, we are pleading with the marketers or the businessmen to also bear with Ghanaians. They should bear with Ghanaians. We all agree it's been 5 years of putting a ban on ongoing projects. But as we speak now, this is not the best of times to put Ghanaians through this ordeal. This particular time is not the best of times. I believe there's no better time than now anyway, but this is not the best of times. Looking at our situation, looking at our conditions, we will plead with them that they will call off the strike as soon as possible. I heard him saying if we are able to come up with a communique this evening, they will call off the strike tomorrow morning. Well, that is good news anyway. That is good news. But then, as you and I know, Cabinet normally travels even throughout the night, most of the time. Cabinet to go beyond, sometimes it goes beyond 12 midnight. So we all wait for the decision from Cabinet. But be as that may be, we will plead with them that they should start considering calling off the strike, looking at how it has affected Ghanaians. And then we will also play our part as the ministry, and then ensure that we'll continue to engage them, and then ensure that whatever we have to do for them to have the best of services with regards to the work that they offer, we will do it as a ministry. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you very much, Kwesi Obeng Fosu, PR of the Ministry of Energy. Finally, from you, Gabi, while you wait for the communication from Cabinet.
Yes, we want to assure Ghanaians that this decision is a very painful one. We are not happy with what we are seeing. But at the end of the day, the buck stops with government to do the needful so that we all get back to our normal business. But I'm very, very, very hopeful that tonight we are going to have a communique from government. And I can assure you, our leadership is prepared that as soon as we receive that communication, even if we have to stay throughout the night, to ensure that we communicate to all our members across the country to get our station open tomorrow, we will do that. But let's wait for the communication. As soon as that communication comes, we will act on it with the speed of a jet.
Thank you very much, GABRIEL Kumi, who's the Vice Chairman of the LPG Marketers Association. Earlier you heard from Obeng Fosu, who is the PR of the Ministry of Energy. Thank you so much for joining us here on Upfront on the Joy News channel. Keep watching the Joy News channel, and make sure you join me tomorrow on the Super Morning Show. It's the holiday edition, Founders Day. I know there's still that same controversy. We'll talk more about that on the Super Morning Show tomorrow. My name is Winston Amoah. Do have a lovely evening.